recording. You know, so I see a little. They ain't got good color, ain't good there. No, it's not crooked. I'm sitting here looking at the picture. Dead on the money.
Welcome to Carolyn's Echoes, where we encourage you to be a blessing to someone today, and that blessing will be returned to you like an echo. Today I want to welcome one of the most special people in my life. He's not only my brother physically, but he's my brother in the Lord.
Amen.
His name is Buddy Owens. He's from Savannah, Georgia. He's a solo guitarist, played in many places in the nation, primarily enjoys staying around the river and down in South Georgia.
Yep.
Likes to go fishing.
Yep.
He gets to enjoy what he loves the most, and not many people get to do that, you know, really. When they go to work, they wish they had something else to do, but they got to have that paycheck. But Buddy gets to go to his church, enjoys serving the Lord, enjoys playing the guitar, and enjoys fishing. So, you know, he's got a great life.
Amen. Amen.
We want to talk a little bit about his story today, about his life and his background. My daddy had polio when he was 3 years old, and he was very concerned about us learning to walk. I was the firstborn, and 17 months later, Buddy was born. And I was one of those lazy babies, sat in the bed and read my books or whatever I did, and I didn't walk till they said I was 12 months, 13 months, something. Once I started walking, then Daddy felt better. He thought, well, everything's okay. And then Buddy came along, and he was running faster than the wind, they tell me. Mother used to call him in for supper and say, hurry, son. He said, I'm coming faster than I can. But when he was 3 years old, we were living in Atlanta, Georgia, and some traumatic things happened. You want to tell us about that, Buddy?
Well, I was 3 years old. I had polio, and that same year I lost my right eye. I was playing with some kind of toy, they told me. I don't remember it.
Little bunny rabbit.
Something broke and hit my eye and killed the optic nerve, so that eye was dead. But I haven't missed it. I came up with one eye, so I'm used to it, and it's fine. And I was blessed to be able to get in Warm Springs Hospital where Daddy was treated. And they said I'd never walk, but a lot of Christian people were praying for me. And I finally walked off and on. You know, they do operations, and sometimes I'd be there. In fact, when I was 3 years old, they told me, my parents, to not come back to the hospital for 6 months. They claimed that the patients did better, the children, if the parents weren't there. But I was in and out of the hospital for 12 years, and finally, when I was about 14, I was walking real good. Still walking out today, thank the Lord.
And riding a bicycle.
But when I got out of high school, people wouldn't hire me, mainly because of the one eye and the leg. And I never intended to play guitar for a living, because when we came up in the 40s and 50s, musicians were looked on as lowlifes, really. And so
not a real job.
I didn't want to be a lowlife, so but I finally wound up moving houses, laying pipe, and I enjoyed the work. But I got a job playing music, and I could make more in one night than I could in a week with the house moving. So one job led to another. Ever since then, I've played for over 50 years for a living. That's been probably 90% of my income. And I've just been blessed. I was on the road. I was just talking to the gentleman that runs this place here. What's his name?
Royce?
Royce, I'm sorry, Royce. But there's thousands and thousands of great guitar players everywhere. And to make a living at it all your life is just a miracle, because even the well-known guys have their problems with finances. I was just blessed, and one thing they could depend on meant I was one of the few that was sober.
Yeah, that helps.
Well, but I guess all that helped. But I've enjoyed playing. I still play for a living. I'm 75 now, but I've got a chance to go to Singapore and play there in Hilton Hotel there, play in the dining room. They have those plush dining rooms over there. And what I've done mostly for the last 30 years, I play in these plush dining rooms. I play what's called unobtrusive background dinner music. That's the classic standards, like the Johnny Mercer songs and those things that Sinatra did. And, that kind of thing.
Easy listening.
Easy, yeah.
Yeah.
And supposed to help your digestion. I play very soft. I don't sing. And
You
sometimes,
used to sing a lot, but
yeah, sometimes I play wedding receptions. And nowadays, a lot of them they want ZZ Top, a sharp dressed man. I can do all that when I have to. I played every kind of music on the road. I could.
interesting story about Warm Springs. You brought that up. When Buddy was taken to Warm Springs, that was during the polio epidemic. So
Yeah.
they're just, everybody was just wherever they could find a bed for them. And my daddy was very upset. For some reason, he thought with Buddy's high fever, 105, that he would just get worse and worse if he was around other polio patients. Of course, that probably was not the case, but he just kind of panicked. And President Roosevelt, who started the facility, had the little White House there. He was there for R&R, and he swam in the mineral pools, which seemed to help his condition too with his legs. And my daddy said, well, I'll just make an appointment and I'll talk to the president. Well, probably today you couldn't do that, but they ushered him in, and he went in to talk to President Roosevelt, but he got a private room.
Yep.
He also found out Daddy needed a job, so he helped him get involved in some training with IRS, so he became a collector of internal revenue. And I remember when President Roosevelt died, they asked my daddy to come to our school and speak on the stage. And they had a little newspaper article that said, President's Friend Speaks in chapel. And my daddy stood as tall as he could with his little legs and at attention, and had to wipe a few tears from his eyes telling about his friend. He saw him another time when he was there too. He always made a point to go to the pool if he found him out there swimming. But that was really an interesting story.
Yeah.
And Buddy has some interesting stories about being there too, like the wheelchair race. Had a little wheelchair race one day, didn't you?
Yeah,
With a cast on your leg.
they were real strict on us. They should have been. That was in the 40s. We had to behave. But we enjoyed racing the wheelchairs. One day, me and a boy had a wreck in the hall, and we had to stay in our beds for a week. But we had a lot of fun. They were very strict on us, like I say, but it was all for our good.
And one time you went down the hill, and didn't the nurse make you push the wheelchair back up?
Yeah, it was a steep hill that we were never supposed to go down that with our wheelchairs, but I did it one day, and it was fun. But one of the nurses caught me and made me roll back up the thing. And it was tough, but I made like it was easy. I'm a tough guy.
Right.
But I didn't do that anymore.
They didn't get the best of you. You mentioned your being on the road and some of the jobs you had. Tell us about Allied Artists, when you got your big contract, and what happened with that, and why you decided to go solo.
Well, I had a good contract with Allied Artists, but so many times when you're on the road and the agent's booking you, you don't know what the place is like till you get there. And I never played one where they had the chicken wire like the Blues Brothers, but I played some bad places. And I'd only been traveling with them a little while, and one of the guys I was traveling with had stolen a car, and I got married about that time, and so I saw that you couldn't drag a wife like that around the country and that kind of life. So I tried to quit playing, ran a service station for a while, and I got a job playing in Savannah and went back to playing again. So.
And was your first job out of town there, was that Jacksonville?
Yeah, I was in Jacksonville for several years. I worked out of that union there. It had a great musicians union there.
Is that when you had to join the union?
Yeah, I had to join, and it was a great thing. They got us some work, and it was good. Had some great bands there, and all the bands. I just was blessed. Any town I was ever in seemed like the best musicians came to me, and I was blessed like that. And these guys could play anything. I remember Dave Brubeck had a hit song, "Take Five."
Mm-hmm.
It was
5/4 time.
Yeah, it was amazing that the jazz would sell like that in the middle of rock and roll and the Beatles and all that. But we heard it and we played it. Those guys were like that. We'd just hear it and play it. And we played the Brubeck things, and the guys could play anything. So I was blessed like that with good musicians.
And you played in Chicago, I think, for a while.
Yeah, I did a job in Chicago one time for 6 weeks, Holiday Inns. I enjoyed the playing, but I was glad to get back to Georgia.
Back in the South.
That's it's a long ways. I fished in the Altamaha River swamp down near Ludwig, Georgia, Jessup, Georgia, and when you're too far away from home, you can't go fishing when
That's
you
right.
got a break.
And that's something you did with Daddy, so that had good memories for you.
Yeah,
Going fishing. And
me and Dad used to go and stay for days in the swamps.
And he knew what it was
fish.
like to have problems walking and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. He used a cane all the time, so he kind of knew how to help you. And of course, I was supposed to be the one that played baseball and did the running,
That's right.
and did football, and I did the running, and basketball, and I did the running.
Yep.
But I love the slogan, and I can say this almost without crying, I think. But I've always told anybody that asks about Buddy, I said, he ain't heavy. He's my brother.
Amen.
But I was always there for him. We've had some great times playing and singing together through the years, and our parents did too.
Yes, sir.
We were in the adult choir together at our church because they didn't have a youth choir.
Yep.
So we sang when we were teenagers in the adult choir. Always
Amen.
have enjoyed it. Let's see. What about, I think, Johnny Harris's and Pirate's House? What are some of the places in Savannah where you...
I played at Johnny Harris's restaurant in Savannah, Georgia for 13 years on Fridays and Saturdays. And it's been there for 90 years. If you ever go to Savannah, it's the most traditional restaurant in Savannah,
Yeah.
and probably the oldest. But it's great food, and you enjoy it. But I played there for, like I say, 13 years.
And I think you had a 6-month contract.
Yeah, and
And every 6 months
just
they
kept
renew.
renewing. But and through the years, I played a lot over at Sea Pines on Hilton Head Island and Collington River. I don't know if y'all know those resort areas over there.
Mhm.
Played a lot for conventions and
Right.
a lot of things like that. Weddings, wedding receptions.
And in Savannah, it was Tassie's Pier,
Yeah,
Pirate's House.
Yeah, I
A lot
played
of
the
people have
Pirates
heard
House.
about Pirate's House, I'm sure.
Yeah, if you go to Savannah, you got to go to the Pirates House.
Yeah, at least once. Maybe for Thanksgiving.
It's great food and what I'm thinking about, this is a 1957 Gretsch guitar.
Country gentleman.
1957 Country Gentleman guitar. The Gretsch company made it. Great guitar. And
It's a collector's item, really.
my mother bought it for me in 1957. I've played the same guitar all the years. And a friend of mine, Randy Wood, in
We've got his card.
Bloomingdale, Georgia, has kept it up through the years. And as I got older, my hand changed, I guess, and it got harder to play. And Randy Wood cut this neck down to my hand size. He's a genius. He's what they call a luthier. He can build or repair anything with strings on. He's a great guy, just the best. And he cut this neck down perfect for my hand. And he's kept this up through the years. He's really been a blessing to me.
That's another thing. You mentioned your hand. Tell us about the miracle over there on that right side with your hand.
Yeah, I was in a
Your
wreck. I had in a wreck, a hydroplaned, and a bad wreck in a van, and destroyed the van. But all I got was something cut my tendons and all in two right there. And the Dr. Ruff in Savannah put it all back together and did a good job. But as it healed, scar tissue took over, and I used to play thumb in these fingers. Now I play thumb in these two a little bit. And I've been trying to teach this one to work since 1990. I'm going to keep trying. This one gets in the way, but
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it.
Something interesting happened recently because you were talking about your passport and going to Singapore possibility. What happened with the fingerprints?
Well, I got my license to carry a gun. They did what they do anymore. You still roll your fingers in the ink, but then you put them on a piece of glass, and the computer takes a picture. And so they did all the fingers on this hand, and then they did my thumb. But these fingers wouldn't lay down on the glass, so he tried to stretch them out. I said they won't do that. But anyway, so I can shoot you now with this finger, and
Can't get caught.
you can't.
They can't trace your fingerprints. Got to be careful which hand you use.
Yep.
Tell tell us about maybe a movie or two you were in. I don't remember how many.
I was in a movie with when I think the name of the movie was When the Circus Came to Town. It was starring Elizabeth Montgomery and Christopher Plummer. It was filmed mostly in Savannah and Statesboro, Georgia, and it was a scene in the movie where they go out to have a nice romantic dinner together, and we're the band there. So they hired me as the guitar player, and all Savannah musicians out of the union.
I understand they wanted 4 black men. That's what they asked for the director. And they were told the best guitarist we have is Buddy Owens, but he's white. Is that a problem?
And it was no problem. And I had worked with these guys before, so we had a good time. Beautiful song. Some guy, I forget his name, in France wrote the song. Beautiful song we played. And they danced while we were playing. And they got a lot of the band in that movie, which is unusual.
Mm-hmm.
Got shots of all of us. And one thing I remember, Christopher Plummer, if he's listening.
He may not see this. It's not on national television.
He forgot some of his lines, and they were dancing so close together, Elizabeth Montgomery would whisper his lines, and he'd say his lines.
Yeah, she was smart.
She was a very smart lady.
Mm-hmm.
And I was surprised how much thinner she is in public. They say the camera puts 20 pounds on you. I don't know if it was new stuff. That.
Well, you and I are in trouble then.
Yeah. But it's amazing, those stars, when you meet them, they're much thinner than they are in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in a couple of movies, that one and documentary things. I don't remember.
One was down on the waterfront there, wasn't it?
That was part of the
Same
When
one.
the Circus Came to Town.
That's
I
an
enjoyed it.
interesting movie, and we saw it 3 years after it was filmed. I remembered the story you told, but we came home from church one night, from First Baptist Church here in Marianna, and I was in one room sewing a button on or something, and my husband and my children were in the living room. And we had missed part of the movie because of being at church. And I heard, just, not paying much attention, TV was on, and I heard them say, we'll return in a moment or whatever from their commercial, the day the circus came to town, or when the circus came to town, whichever the title, starring Elizabeth Montgomery and Christopher Plummer. And I jumped up and said, and Buddy Owens?
That's right.
So I ran to the living room to tell David, Michelle, and Michael, and they were watching something else, and they were, really engrossed in it.
Yep.
And I kind of interrupted them. They weren't too excited about all my excitement. And I kept saying, Uncle Buddy's in the movie, Uncle Buddy's in the movie. And they said, what movie? So I kept explaining, telling them all about it. They reluctantly changed the channel. Then they didn't see you. They saw Elizabeth Montgomery, and she'd run away to join the circus after taking care of her mother all these years. She was just, she wanted to be a real person and have adventure. So she's doing her thing, and they keep waiting, and they said, where is Uncle Buddy? So finally they go to the restaurant, and they start painting the musicians. Well, when they saw you, they got so excited. They were more excited than me, I think, at that point. But it's just amazing how we got to see the movie.
It is.
It was a good movie.
Yeah.
It was. And you did a good job playing. It was just not very long.
No.
It was pretty short. You had another interesting experience, I think, when you got to work at Fort Stewart, being in charge of the music on the Army base.
Yeah.
Tell me how that came to pass. Now, I know you also had something else unusual on that base. That was the first Burger King.
Yeah, I was teaching with a contract with the soldiers at Fort Stewart and Hunter, and they liked my work, and they got me to run their music center for them. And there I got to work with soldiers that were not in the first infantry band. That was 24th infantry, but then I think it's 3rd Army now, but anyway. And so I worked with the guys that could play and sing, and it's amazing the talent I ran into. And we worked with them, and some of them got so good they got to, like one of my soul bands, a country band, and a rock and roll band, got to travel for a year just playing military bases all over the world. That was their full-time duty. And so gave them something to work towards.
Right. And wasn't there a competition between the
Yeah, we'd have
bases?
shows. Yeah, we'd have shows, and the first place winners then would go on to other bases, And if they finally won first place altogether, that's when they would get to travel.
And
it was great.
And Fort Stewart won first place.
Yeah, well, we were blessed with the best guys.
That's great. That's great. Well, tell me about the Burger King. How did it come to pass? I mean, basically don't have a Burger King.
When I was there, General Schwarzkopf was the general there, Norman Schwarzkopf. And he wanted a hamburger place on post. So his guys that didn't have cars could get a hamburger too, you know, and get them a good meal. And he just got it done, like cable guy says, got her done, and put it on the base. And there was some flack about it, but he was the kind of guy you didn't want to go in his office with a problem.
Well, the people in town, I think they were concerned, weren't they?
Yeah.
With the competition.
But he's a great guy.
Yes,
Did a great job in Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and just one of those kind. He was like Patton and MacArthur to me, kind of generals our country needs.
That's right.
That
Good, godly man. He was a good guy.
Yeah, that understand what needs to be done and get her done.
I was very glad that he was my son and your nephew, Michael. I was glad he was his commanding officer.
Yep.
We had some good heroes back then. Well, we've got all kinds of things we could do. Buddy and I have kind of grown up playing and singing together. He used to sing a lot. He'd get a little band together, teach the guys how to play and sing harmony parts. And if any of them were out when they had to go do a little job somewhere, they'd get me to fill in because I knew all their songs. And we were called the Boys Quartet from Pembroke.
Yes, sir.
Even when I showed up. We're going to do a few songs now, and he's going to close out with some great numbers. Daddy taught us to play the ukulele when we were 6 and 7 years old.
Before, yeah, first grade.
Little guys. Yeah, it was fun. I think we'll start out with T for Two. How's that sound?
All right. What gear are you in there?
I believe.
C?
What are we in? C?
Okay.
That's always simple. Simple enough for me, anyway, to get to play with a pro. Picture me upon your knee, T for two, two for tea, me for you and you for me alone. Nobody near us to see us or hear us, no friends or relations on weekend vacations. We won't have it known that we own a telephone. Near, they will break and I'll awake, start to bake a sugar cake for you to take to all the boys to see. We could raise a family, a boy for you, a girl for me. Can't you see how happy we would be? I said, can't you see how happy we would be? One more time. Can't you see how happy we would be? That's a great song. Great song, great song.
I learned a lot about playing guitar because my sister Carolyn used to sing all those Sinatra things
Everything.
and Tony Bennett things. She
Everything.
knows the words to every song there ever was. And so that forced me to play those nice chords, and that's helped me. There's not many guys left that play the classic standards on a guitar, bass, chords, and melody, so that I got a little unique thing there.
Talking about Carolyn singing and Buddy playing, one of the examples, that's what we did all the time. All the time in our free time, that's what we did at home. Sang with our parents, they played instruments. Everybody played by ear except Mother. One day I came home from college. I'd taken a bus, didn't have a car, and I took a trailway bus, which put me in the middle of my little town, which meant I could pick up my suitcase and walk about 3 city blocks, and I was home. So I walked in. I hadn't been home in months from college. Buddy's sitting there playing the guitar, and he said, sit down. He didn't say, hello, how are you, I love you. He said, sit down. And he was trying to learn some popular song. And he said, do you know this song? And I said, yes, I do. He said, well, sing it. So I sat there and sang, and he played, and that went on probably 5-10 minutes. And our mother came out from the kitchen, and she saw me there, and she said, "Well, honey, when did you get here?" I said, "Well, I've probably been here 10 or 15 minutes." Didn't say hello or anything, because we just played and sang.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do one of my favorites here. How many arms have held you?
No.
That is so good. Let's do that in D. D as in dog. How many arms have held you and hated to let you go? How many, I wonder, but I really don't want to know. So always make me wonder, and always make me guess. And even if I ask you, darling, don't confess. Just let it remain your secret. For darling, it hurts me so.
How many,
I wonder, but I really don't want to know.
That's Paul and Mary
That
Ford.
is so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Doesn't get any better than that. In the key of D. That's my favorite. Okay, let's see what we got here now. Why don't you play something and I'll rest and
I'll do
sing Blue Moon.
a
Blue
song,
Moon?
one of the most requested songs I get in the dining room.
You'll skip Blue Moon? Okay.
Because, no, we can do it.
Misty?
Yeah, Misty and
And you did the girl from Ipanema over and over. I think you fantasize about her.
Yeah.
Hey buddy, this is Billy. Fine chords, fine guitar.
It's a Misty version. You want to do
Blue Moon?
Blue Moon?
Okay, Blue Moon. That's the song that one of my college friends thought I wrote because I sang it so much in college. I said, if I had written that song, I wouldn't be here.